Alright, we're going to take a look at multiplying and fractions and mixed numbers. And the last video in this playlist, it was we added and subtracted. So multiplying is completely different than adding and subtracting. And the first thing you need to remember is that in multiplying fractions, we do not need a common denominator. So the thing that you do need to get in the habit of doing, though, is looking for ways to divide the top and bottom number by some common factor. For instance, you may remember this from your previous schooling. 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 6 two times. So in essence, what we're doing is if I kind of take that little piece over here to the side and I realize that that's a 6 over 3. If this were just a fraction in and of itself, I could say 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice, and that indeed is the number 2 over 1, which is the number 2. So really what I'm doing when I'm kind of cross-reducing the fractions, and that's going to give me smaller numbers, hopefully, when I get my final answer. So I'm going to continue to do that. So I'm going to take a look at the 10 and the 2. One has to be a denominator, one has to be numerator. You can't do them on the same level. So I'm going to say 10 and 2 work as well. I can reduce those. 2 goes into 10 5 times, 2 goes into 2 one time. So now, okay, it's as if I've just it's as if I've reduced that fraction. So what I have now is I have a 1 over a 1 times a 2 over a 5, and obviously that is 2/5. When I multiply fractions, I multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom after I've reduced. Now you may be saying, but I multiplied that out and I didn't have to reduce it. Well, if you try that, if you multiply it out before you reduce it, then you have to reduce it after the fact. So watch this. 2 times 6, that gives me 12 on top. 3 times 10 gives me 30 on the bottom. Now I'm going to have to reduce the large numbers, larger than I had to on the previous one. So I'm looking at that and going, hey, I think 6 goes in there twice, 6 goes in there 5 times, and indeed it ends up giving me 2/5. So I don't recommend this way. I recommend reducing beforehand. So that's what we're going to do on this next one also, if it indeed will reduce. So let's take a look at this one. So I'm looking at the 5 and the 4 to see if something will reduce there, and I'm looking at the 8 and the 1 to see if something will reduce there. Nothing reduces, so I can't reduce this before I multiply. If I can't reduce it before I multiply, it will be impossible to reduce it after I finished multiplying. After I've finished, watch this. So I'm going to multiply straight across. There's a 5. Straight across there is a 32. And guess what? I know that that is not going to be reduced anymore because I couldn't reduce it beforehand. Okay? Let's take a look at another one. Now, we're introducing just mixed numbers into this one. Well, with mixed numbers and multiplying, I have to do something to prepare this thing. What I'm going to do is multiply the whole number times the denominator. That's saying I have 5 of these 4-slice pizzas, right? That's 20 pieces of pizza. And then I have to add the extra one that won't make up a complete pizza. So I have to say 5 times 4 is 20 plus 1 is 21. So in essence, I really do have 21 of those fourths. So if you think about what it means, it'll help you remember what to do. Okay, so now I have these fractions ready to be multiplied, and I'm going to look at the diagonals to see if anything can reduce. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice, 7 goes into 7 once, 7 goes into 21 3 times, and now my job is to simply multiply straight across. Very simple. And there's my answer. Now, if you don't want an improper fraction, by the way, this is already reduced. I don't need to check it to see if it can reduce more, because I already reduced before I multiplied. If you want to rewrite it though, you're going to say, hey, how many of these will fit into that? Right? Only one of them. And so that one is right here. And then there's 1/2 left over. Okay? Last one. Alright, so now we have a little more complicated one. I have a mixed number in both positions. So here we go. Let's first do this. 1 times 6 is 6 plus 5. That's 11. And yes, you do have to do this with multiplying fraction, mixed numbers. So that's 44. 2 times 22 is 44 plus 10 is 54. And I leave the denominator the same. Why do we do that? Well, because that's the size of the slice. It doesn't have anything to do with how many we have. Okay, I'm going to continue to try to reduce. 11 goes into that once. 11 goes into that 2 times. 6 goes in there once. 6 goes in there 7 times. So let's go ahead and get our answer. Multiplying straight across, I get 7. Straight across, I get 2. If I want to make it a mixed number, I'm going to say how many 2's will go into 7? 3. And then I have 1/2 left over. Okay, I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you for watching.